In case of diesel engine, it is compression ignition. It is compression ignition. Next, come to the point, number of cylinders. Say in two-wheelers, many of you seen the single cylinder. In car, you might have seen 3 or 4 cylinders or more than 4 cylinders. More than 4 cylinders. And next, come to the point, position of the cylinder. That is the classification of the position of the cylinder. Say first 2 classifications is common, that is vertical or horizontal, maybe bifuel or V-shaped positioning of the cylinders. Next come to the last one, 7th one, method of cooling. Say all of you seen the air cooled engine as well as water cooled engine. See, all of you seen in the front of the car, you have a radiator. So the function of the radiator is to cool the water. So instead of water, we are using coolant. But in case of air cooled engine, many two-wheelers, that's the Royal Enfield and many engines which are cooled by the air which is coming in the opposite direction. So these engines are air cooled engines, and water cooled engines are petrol engine or diesel engine cooled by radiator. So this is the classification of IC engine. Write down the question, list the classification of IC engines. Next, come to the point. Next question, I think question number 3. Question number 3. Write the neat diagram of the parts of the IC engine. Parts of the IC engine. All of you observe here. All of you observe here. So this is the diagram. You can practice this diagram and write down the diagram. See, this is parts of the IC engine. Practice twice, thrice or 4 times and write the neat diagram of the IC engine. If possible, name the parts and write the function of the part. That is, for example, the piston. Piston is the piston which moves up and down in the cylinder, creates the vacuum. Due to that, suction as well as exhaust takes place. So like that, write down the explanation in your sentence. First, write the parts of the IC engine. Before that, write the neat diagram of the IC engine. Today itself, you practice twice, thrice or 4 times or 5 times and write the diagram neatly using pencil and scale, eraser. Write the diagram. Next, come to the point. As I told you, the parts of the IC engine, one by one: cylinder, piston, piston rings, connecting rod, crank and crankshaft, valves, flywheel and the crankcase. Say you have 8 parts. Go through the parts one by one. Write the explanation in your own sentence. No need to reproduce the same which you have in the book or in my notes. So go through the explanation, read the notes twice, thrice or many times and write the parts in your own sentence. So minimum 8 parts are required for IC engine in the examination point of view. Next, come to the point, the terminology. This is the, you can say, the specification or terminology of the engine. Terminology of the engine, that is IC engine terminology or specification of the engine. Say first, bore. All of you seen the piston. So I will show you the piston of the IC engine in the class, later classes. Say the piston and the cylinder. In the cylinder, there will be a hole. That is hole is present. That is called bore. I will show you in the engine the bore. that is the inside diameter of the cylinder. And next, stroke. Say, all of you know that there will be two types of engine. One is a two-stroke engine, other one is four-stroke engine. So that is nothing but the movement of the piston from top to the bottom and bottom to the top. Or you can call it as a top, the position of the piston which moves from TDC, top dead center, to the bottom dead center, BDC. So that is the stroke. That stroke may be two-stroke or four-stroke. Next, come to the point, the cover end or top dead center. Just now I told you top dead center. When the piston is in the top position, that is called top dead center. When the piston is in the bottom position, in the bottom at the crank end, that is called BDC. BDC means bottom dead center. Bottom dead center. Remember two words, two sentence or two position of the piston. All of you remember TDC or BDC. TDC or BDC. Just write down a question. Write down a question. So once or twice this question appeared in the examination. You just know the engine terminology. Just you write down like this. Explain briefly. Explain briefly. IC engine terminology. IC engine terminology. Okay, finished. Next, mark it very, very important. You can expect this question in the exam as well as in the test. You can expect this question in the exam as well as in the test, and as well as in the test. Mark it very, very important. Explain briefly. Explain briefly with neat sketches. Say, remember, here it is not sketch, it is sketches. Explain briefly with neat sketches the four-stroke petrol engine. Four-stroke petrol engine. All of you write down in bracket. Say, if you write only this diagram, you will get 50 marks, 50% of the marks. Usually this question you have in the exam for 10 marks. If you write these four diagrams in the examination, you will get 5 out of 10 marks. For that reason, see, all of you observe here, write down in bracket theoretical auto cycle. All of you write down theoretical auto cycle. In bracket write down theoretical auto cycle. Say, all of you observe here, this is reversible adiabatic cycle, and also it is called constant volume cycle. Constant volume cycle. By the side of this diagram, top or bottom, in the same page, remember, in the same page, write the theoretical auto cycle diagram along with these four diagrams. Suppose if you write these four diagrams, you will get 5 marks. If you write that theoretical auto cycle along with this diagram, then you will get out marks. That is 10 out of 10 marks. Remember, 10 out of 10 marks for in the examination. For that reason, in the test also, along with these four diagrams, along with that, write down this theoretical auto cycle diagram. This is also called as constant volume cycle. Theoretical auto cycle. In bracket, write down the theoretical Otto cycle. If you write that diagram along with these 4 diagrams, then you will get full marks. Next, explain with your own sentence suction stroke, compression stroke, working stroke or power stroke, and next exhaust stroke. This is in case of 4-stroke petrol engine. 4-stroke petrol engine. This is the complete explanation of the 4-stroke petrol engine shown here in the summary of a 4-stroke petrol engine. Next, come to the point. All of you write down. Explain briefly. Explain briefly with the neat sketches. Explain briefly with the neat sketches. 4-stroke diesel engine. 4-stroke diesel engine. Next, all of you observe here. All of you observe here. That is the petrol engine or the 4-stroke diesel engine. This is the 4-stroke diesel engine. But in case of petrol engine, that is theoretical Otto cycle or constant volume cycle. But this is constant pressure cycle. All of you remember, theoretical diesel cycle is the constant pressure cycle. Constant pressure cycle. All of you see here and observe here. This is the theoretical diesel cycle. Theoretical diesel cycle. Here also, in this question, I repeat the question. Explain briefly with neat sketches the 4-stroke diesel engine. 4-stroke diesel engine. Along with that diagram, write down theoretical diesel cycle. Theoretical diesel cycle. This is very, very important. This is called constant pressure cycle. Along the question is like this. All of you mark it very, very important. Among two, remember, among two 4-stroke petrol engine or 4-stroke diesel engine, among two, one is 100% guarantee in the examination. One is 100% guarantee in the examination. And also you have this question in the test. See, theoretical diesel cycle or constant pressure cycle. All of you observe here. Here you have 4 strokes of the diesel engine, and remember, here you have inlet valve, exhaust valve in the top position of the cylinder. In the top position of the cylinder, these valves are present only in 4-stroke engine. Remember, all of you, this is very, very important. Whether you belongs to computer science or mechanical engineering, only 4-stroke engine has the valves, that is inlet valve and the outlet valve. The outlet valve is nothing but exhaust valve, and the inlet valve is nothing but which allows the petrol in case of petrol engine, in case of which allows the diesel in case of diesel engine. Please, all of you, write these 4 diagrams. Along with this diagram, write the theoretical diesel cycle diagram. Otherwise, you will get 50% of the total marks. Usually, this question in the examination for 10 marks. If you write only these 4 diagrams, then you will get 5 marks. If you write along with this diagram, if you write the theoretical diesel cycle along with these 4 diagrams, you will get full marks, 10 out of 10 marks. That's very, very important. All of you remember, 10 out of 10 marks. Next, come to the point. Explain. All of you go through the suction stroke, compression stroke, working or power stroke, and the exhaust stroke. Remember, say the four stroke of the diesel engine. The first stroke is suction stroke, second one is compression stroke, third one is working stroke, fourth one is exhaust stroke. Say you know the function of each stroke. Explain with your own sentence. Say you have the explanation in my notes, or you have the explanation in the textbook. Go through the textbook or go through the notes, read twice, thrice, four times, or five times, or many times. Go through the explanation, write the explanation with your own sentence. No need to reproduce the same explanation which is available in the notes or in the textbook. If you write the explanation in your sentence, then you will get full marks. All of you observe here. This is suction stroke, compression stroke, working stroke, and exhaust stroke. The complete explanation of a four-stroke diesel engine is available in the summary of the explanation here. So all of you observe here the summary of the four-stroke diesel engine. Next, come to the point. All of you write down the question. All of you write down the question. Explain briefly with neat sketches. Explain briefly with neat sketches. Two-stroke petrol engine. Two-stroke petrol engine. Explain, I repeat, explain with neat sketch. Two-stroke petrol engine. See, all of you observe here. That is the beginning of the first stroke, and the second stroke, that is the first stroke, and this is the last stroke. Here there will be only two strokes are there. One is the suction stroke, other one is exhaust stroke. In between you have compression and the expansion stroke. See, all of you observe here. Say, in case of four-stroke diesel engine, the compression, everything takes place in the cylinder. But in case of two-stroke engine, the compression of the fuel and the ignition of the fuel in the cylinder and the compression of the air and petrol takes place in the crankcase. Remember, that is in cylinder in case of four-stroke. But in case of two-stroke, the expansion and compression takes place inside the crankcase, and here there will be a port called transfer port which allows the fuel and air. That's in case of petrol engine. Petrol and air moves upward direction, and here the petrol and air is ignited by the application of the spark which is coming from the spark plug. Expansion of the gas takes place, and the gas exerts the force on the piston. Due to that force, the piston moves upward direction and downward direction along with the crank. Crank is directly coupled to the gearbox, and the gearbox is coupled to the wheel with chain or belt drive. With chain or belt drive, due to that the vehicle moves forward direction. So this is the principle of operation of the two-stroke petrol engine, that is explained briefly with neat sketches. This is not sketch, with neat sketches. Two-stroke petrol engine. Write down the explanation as you have here. Go through the explanation twice, thrice, or four times, or five times. Read properly and write your own sentence. The complete summary is here. That is the explanation of the two-stroke petrol engine. Next, come to the point. Explain with neat sketch. Explain with neat sketches. Explain with neat sketches. Two-stroke diesel engine. Two-stroke diesel engine. I repeat. Explain with neat sketches. Two-stroke two-stroke diesel engine. I repeat, explain with neat sketches. Two-stroke diesel engine. All of you observe here. This is the piston, this is cylinder, and you can observe here the fins. Say in two-stroke petrol engine or diesel engine, in the engine head you have the fins like this. Fins means all of you seen the fins are present on the body of the fish. The same type of fins are present on the engine block and the engine cylinder head. The function of the fins is to transfer the heat developed in the engine to the surrounding. Heat transfer takes place to the surrounding through the fins. Here, all of you observe here, in two-stroke diesel engine, there will be three ports are present, which is placed inside the cylinder. In case of four-stroke engine, there will be two valves are there. One is inlet valve and exhaust valve. But in case of two-stroke engine, there will be three ports are there. One is inlet port, exhaust port, and the transfer port. Already you have already studied the working of two-stroke diesel engine, and the ignition of the air and diesel takes place by compression of the air. The air is compressed to 1:20. Remember, the air is compressed to 1:20. Imagine 120 units of air is compressed to 1 unit. Due to that compression, temperature of the air increases, which ignites the diesel. Due to that, expansion takes place. Expansion of the gas takes place. Due to that, the piston moves up and down, and also which makes the crank to rotate in clockwise as well as in the anti-clockwise direction. This is the principle of operation of two-stroke diesel engine. See, all of you go through the explanation. Go through the explanation. Read twice, thrice, or many times, and write down the explanation and the complete summary of the diesel engine, two-stroke diesel engine is here. Go through this and explain with your own sentence. Next, come to the point, the advantages of two-stroke engine and the four-stroke engine. And many times, and very few question papers, or sometimes you may have this question. Please, all of you write down the question. Write down like this. List the advantages of two-stroke engine. No need to write over A. No need to write over A. List the advantages of two-stroke engine. Next line write down. Next line write down. List the advantages of four-stroke engine. Next line write down. List the advantages of four-stroke engine. See, for this question, write a minimum 4 advantages. Write minimum 4 advantages. See, here you have 12 advantages you have here. So you can write a minimum 4 or 5 advantages in the examination. Suppose if you remember all the 12, that's very good. Write down all the 12. Suppose if you remember only 5 or 6, write 5 or 6. Next, come to the point. Comparison or difference between petrol and diesel engine. All of you write down. All of you write down. Differentiate between petrol and diesel engines. Differentiate between petrol and diesel engines. See, here you have 18 differences are there. 18 differences are there for petrol and diesel engine. You write minimum 10 in the examination. Usually you have this question for 5 marks. For that, write minimum 10. Minimum 10 differences between petrol and diesel engine. Petrol and diesel engine. Petrol engine. Once again, all of you go through the questions starting from IC engine, definition of the IC engine. Next question is classification of IC engine. Classification of IC engine. Next parts of the IC engine. Next question, IC engine terminology. Next question, IC engine terminology. Next question, that is the 4-stroke petrol engine and 4-stroke diesel engine. Remember once again, all of you must write the theoretical Otto cycle for petrol engine. This is also called as constant volume cycle. So in case of diesel engine, write the theoretical diesel cycle along with these 4 figures. So then you will get full marks. Next come to the point, the difference. Next come to the point, the explanation of 2-stroke petrol engine and the 2-stroke diesel engine. Among two, that is the 2-stroke engine, one is 100% guarantee in the examination. One is 100% 2-stroke diesel engine or petrol engine. And next come to the point, the advantages of 2-stroke engine and the advantages of 4-stroke engine. Next difference or comparison between petrol and diesel engines. So you have all the questions regarding the IC engine. Next class I will start refrigeration and air conditioning. Refrigeration and air conditioning. So you have small problems in this topic. I will finish up this in the next class. After that, I will give you the complete notes for you. Go through the notes or you can refer any textbook. You have 2 textbooks. One is one author is Trembakamurthy, other one is Gopal Krishna. You can refer any textbook or even you can refer my notes. So in the notes you find everything. You go through the notes and write down with your own sentence. Few problems are there. So I will carry out the problem in the next class, and next after that I will continue with the new concept, refrigeration and air conditioning. Now I stop this meeting at this stage and I will continue in the next class.